absolutely unstoppable. You can't beat Farmer. And I'm going to show you why. As you can tell, this video is a how strong is of Farmer with a shotgun, although we won't be scaling him with the shotgun. He is the first character introduced in Dragon Ball to have a power level, introduced at the beginning of the Saiyan saga when Raditz came to Earth. Although despite being killed by Raditz, he seems to reappear in many later arcs, more often you probably suspect. Memes aside, let's go over what this video covers in order. First, we'll be covering what we actually know about Farmer. Next, we'll be comparing Farmer to that of someone with a similar power level, that being Kid Goku. Then I will explain why we can't actually do that, and why we can't use Kid Goku as a reference. Meaning, to actually power scale Farmer in the end, I will be doing some power scaling to a weaker character, one that you guys would have overlooked. And this will be scaling without his shotgun, and the end result will be a character so strong, he would be stronger than all of humanity. Stay tuned to see the full details. So what do we know about Farmer? Well, he's Farmer with a shotgun, he has a pickup truck with a pitchfork, as well as, according to Raditz, he has a battle power of 5, meaning his power level is 5. And that one fact of his power level being 5 is the only thing we actually need to power scale Farmer. And that's what we'll be using for the rest of this video. Let's compare Farmer and Kid Goku. As we have said, Farmer has a power level of 5. Meanwhile, Kid Goku at the start of the series, according to 2 different guidebooks, has a power level of 10. So, what if Farmer is 50% of that of Kid Goku? What sort of attack potency would that give Farmer? If we look at Goku's fight with Yamcha, where Goku was hungry and therefore wasn't even going all out, he was sent through 4 different pillars. If we compare the pillars to Goku's size, we can estimate each individual pillar to be about 35 million joules, meaning getting sent through all 4 is about 140 million joules, or about small building level. This is then consistent with the fact that all the pillars broke and fell on Goku. The kinetic energy of those falling pillars on top of Goku was 217 million joules, which is once again small building level. Interestingly, since Goku survived this and then got out of the rubble, he must have been able to withstand all that pressure of all those different pieces of pillars on top of him, which had a total mass of 2.35 million kilograms, or about 2,350 tons. Now that we know that Kid Goku's basic attack potency and lifting strength, we can see that Farmer's attack potency is over 100 million joules, and his lifting strength is over 1,000 tons. Now to go over speed. We know that Goku in the manga ran 100 meters in 8.5 seconds, or if you use the anime, he ran 100 meters in just 8 seconds. These aren't very impressive, and in fact he has much better. One example I've used in a previous video was when he jumped behind the members of the Rabbit Squadron so fast he left several after images. And the several after images left a speed that was supersonic plus at 1,318 meters per second. To prove this is consistent, I want to ask you the question of, do you think if Goku runs with a turtle on his back, he is able to move faster or slower than he normally would? Obviously the answer is he would be slower if he's carrying an entire turtle. Funnily enough, between episode 2 and episode 3 of Dragon Ball, that's exactly what Goku did. He carried Turtle on his back for about 4 minutes and 20 seconds. How far did he carry him, you ask? Don't worry, Bulma's here to tell you the answer.
Bad news! You're still 100 miles away!
So as you just heard from Bulma, the distance I have to travel is 100 miles. In the manga it does say 120 kilometers, which is smaller than 100 miles, but we'll be using the anime to be consistent. If Goku runs 100 miles, or 160,934 meters in just 4 minutes and 20 seconds, that means he has a speed of 916 meters per second, or 1.8 times the speed of sound. Goku was able to run this for 100 miles straight while carrying a turtle on his back, so his top speed calculation in the other calculation at 1,318 meters per second becomes much more likely. If we give him this top speed of 1,318 meters per second, then we can scale Farmer's speed to be about 659 meters per second, which once again is about 1.8 times the speed of sound. However, if any of you have ever scaled Dragon Ball before, you would know we can't do this. This line of scaling has a particular problems, and that is we are backscaling on power levels. Why can't we backscale using power levels? Goku, with a power level of 10, had a Kamehameha that's able to damage and basically wreck a car. Meanwhile, during the 21st World Martial Art Tournament, Master Roshi's Kamehameha could destroy the moon. And it does so fast that if you were to actually calculate it, as I've done in one of my other videos, you can understand it's actually more energy than needed to destroy planet Earth. This presents a problem. If we were to scale backwards from Master Roshi's 139 to Goku's power level of 10, because of the massive difference in energy but the smaller difference in power levels, the scaling backwards linearly would result in massively inflated results, which would exaggerate a character's strength. Obviously, Goku is not 1/13th or 1/14th of that of destroying the moon when he destroys a car. It's a much bigger difference than that. However, if we scale forwards, the power scaling forwards would therefore be massively downplayed because the results are redacting a character's true strength. Obviously, Master Roshi destroying the moon is more than 13.9 times that of destroying a car. However, this gives me an idea for a brand new power scaling meta. The idea behind it is, if we were to find a character who is weaker than Farmer, and then massively upscale Farmer from then, we can get all that scaling to perfectly match up. This will fill the requirements of the video that I have set up, where I've both said in the thumbnail that Farmer is unstoppable, and then clarified that even all of humanity couldn't stop Farmer. So I will be upscaling from a character with a lower power level than Farmer, and still be getting stronger than all of humanity. Stay tuned to see who it is. Who has a power level below 5? Or in other words, who has a power level below Farmer? From what I can tell, Farmer has the 4th lowest power level in the series. He's tied for 4th with a very suppressed Future Trunks. In 3rd place for the lowest power level in the series goes to a baby Goku with a power level of only 2. And then we have the 2nd lowest being a 4-year-old Kid Gohan at a power level of 1. Yo, pause a moment. Goku as a baby having double the power level of Gohan at 4. I swear Gohan's slacking. But anyway, back to the main topic. The actual lowest power level was miles lower than both of them. At just 0.001, the lowest power level in the series goes to Turtle. And in fact, we will be power scaling the difference between Turtle and that of Farmer, which is a 5,000 times difference in power level. So now ask the question, how strong is Turtle? Well, one of the early feats in Dragon Ball is that of Turtle being able to swim from the shore to Master Roshi's house, and does so in a very short time frame. We'll be calculating how impressive this is. To do this, we're going to need a scale for how far they are using the Dragon Ball world map. Using this scale, we'll be saying that the likes of the Red Ribbon Army base from where Mercenary Tao travelled to Korin's Tower was about 2,300 kilometers. When pixel scaling, it was only about 26 pixels. Fun fact, before we start power scaling the Turtle, I thought it might be fun to look at how big is the Earth of Dragon Ball, in which if we were to scale its diameter, it's 35,000 kilometers, or 2.75 times that of Earth. Well, if we do it circumference-wise, we get an estimation it's 44,000 kilometers, or about 1.1 times that of Earth. The most accurate value would always be the larger one, because if we went with the smaller one, it makes the larger one impossible. Therefore, we can use this to say that the Earth in Dragon Ball is about 2.7 times that of real life. Just a small fun fact. Going back to the main question, if we use the Red Ribbon Army base at 2,300 kilometers at only 26 pixels, we then look at Kame House and the closest beach that Turtle could have set off from, the distance at minimum would be 38 pixels. This 38 pixels translates to 3.3 million meters, or the equivalent of 3,361 kilometers. The Turtle took an anime time frame of approximately 163 seconds, which is about 2 minutes and 43 seconds. This is consistent with what the Turtle said in the manga, that it would only be a little while. After all, Bulma was incredibly impatient and probably wouldn't wait much longer. Because of this, and the fact that a Turtle must go there and back, the distance a Turtle is actually travelling is about 6.7 million meters, or 6,723 kilometers. If we use this distance and the time frame that I mentioned just a second ago, we get an overall speed of 41,245 meters per second, or about 120 times the speed of sound. You might think going 41,000 meters per second, or 120 times the speed of sound, is too fast for Turtle. However, I can already think of 2 feats that make this consistent. The first one, and one you're all probably aware of, is that when Yamcha first encounters Chi-Chi, he's able to dodge her laser from her helmet. This same laser, according to Dragon Ball Adventure, literally calls it the avoidance of light, meaning that Yamcha just dodged a light speed laser. Furthermore, there is another feat that other people will overlook, and that is when Master Roshi needs to travel to Fire Mountain. When he does so, he calls another turtle called Baby Gamera, and this Baby Gamera takes him to Fire Mountain in about 34 seconds. If you look at the world map, Fire Mountain is even further away than what I've estimated for Turtle, being about double as far. And not only does this happen, but it does so in only 34 seconds, making it even faster than that of what Turtle does. So this 41,000 meters per second, or 120 times the speed of sound I gave for Turtle, is probably consistent. We know that in terms of size, Turtle is about 1 meter tall. We know this because Goku is about 1 meter tall at this point in the series, and Turtle is around about the size of Goku, if not way bigger. Because of the design of Turtle, and looking at similar ones in real life, which are also to a similar scale, being the long-headed turtles, we can estimate its weight between somewhere in 100 and 180 kilos. Let's use 140. Then, when we know that in the return journey that Turtle was actually carrying Master Roshi, we need to add his weight. Master Roshi weighs 44 kilograms, which is quite light. However, the turtle shell he has on his back actually weighs 40 kilograms, as he himself states, meaning that the total weight of Turtle and Master Roshi is already 224 kilograms. However, that is the smallest part of the weight that Turtle is moving when he is travelling from Master Roshi's island back to shore. You see, the largest part is actually the water itself. You see, when you're swimming, to displace yourself to move forward while swimming, you actually need to push the water back, meaning you need to physically move that water. If we estimate how much you'll be moving in 1 second, and using that for the weight, we can get an estimate for the total amount of water that he must be able to push. Since he is moving at 41,000 meters per second, and his area is approximately 1 cubic meter, we can say that the total amount of water he is pushing is about 41,000 cubic meters. If we then use the density of water, and we add on the weight of Master Roshi, as well as the turtle, we get a total mass he must be moving of 42,483,490 kilograms. Since Turtle is moving all this weight while going at 120 times the speed of sound, we get a very high kinetic energy. The kinetic energy of Turtle is approximately 36 quadrillion joules, or about 8.63 megatons of TNT, which is city level. Now, as we said earlier in the video, power levels are exponential, meaning if you scale from a lower power level to a higher one, the linear scale factor would therefore be a massive downplay. We used this as an example earlier, going from Kid Goku to Master Roshi, a car to the moon. Obviously it's not 14 times. Now I'm going to be doing that exact same downplay scaling, and I'll be going from Turtle with all the stats we've just calculated to that of Farmer. So Farmer has a power level of 5, while Turtle has a power level of 0.001. Turtle's attack potency was 8.3 megatons of TNT, which was city level. If we scale up by 5,000, the attack potency of Farmer is 43.18 gigatons of TNT, which is island level. If we then look at speed, we said that Turtle's speed was Mach 120. Scaled up to Farmer, he has a massive speed of 601,000 times the speed of sound, or 68.8% the speed of light. Then finally, if we look at Turtle's lifting strength, which he was able to move enough water that is equivalent to 42,500 tons, and then scale it up to 5,000 times more, we get the lifting strength of Farmer, which is another insane 212 million tons. In the thumbnail of this video, I claim that Farmer was absolutely unstoppable, and that you can't beat Farmer. This is meant to be a you can't beat for any of the viewers of this video. In other words, I'm trying to say that Farmer would be stronger than that of what humanity can come up with. So let's do a comparison. The attack potency max of humanity, we could say, let's say the largest nuclear bomb ever detonated, is 57 megatons of TNT, nowhere near that of Farmer. The fastest rocket ever launched by humanity was only at Mach 27, nowhere near the speed of Farmer. And in terms of lifting strength, I decided to go with the heaviest hydraulic press ever made. The heaviest hydraulic press ever made is 50,000 tons, which once again is still isn't enough to beat Farmer. So even if we were to look at the best things humanity has to offer, none of them scales that of Farmer. So therefore, I achieved the thumbnail. Before we go to the outro of this video, let me ask you a question. When it comes to power scaling, do you look at how strong a character is, or how weak a character is? I can probably tell by what you might say in the comment sections of this video. For example, if you say a phrase like something is inconsistent or an outlier, especially with this video where we have a feat of someone dodging a laser or a faster turtle than the one used in this video, then you're likely looking at how weak a character is. Furthermore, if you're saying that you can't scale like that, despite this being the lower end version of scaling because power levels are exponential in the first place, then once again you're probably saying how weak a character is. Finally, if you try to say something like, this is not what the writer intended, you're really falling into a fallacy that's called death of the author, or another one that's called fallacy of intentionality. Really, when you're looking at how strong a character is, you shouldn't be looking at the negatives on this side. You should be trying to look at how strong a character is by looking at the positives. And that's what I want to end this video on. Stay positive. And with that, you'll be able to create your own power scaling metas. Thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, you might like some of my similar videos, like my Master Roshi video where I explain of him being more powerful than destroying the Earth, or my videos on Hunter x Hunter where I basically just say Hunter x Hunter characters are stronger than you think. Also in the description of this video you'll find a list of channels I think are quite good at power scaling that you might enjoy, as well as a link to my Discord server that lasts about a week. If you enjoyed all of that, thank you all for watching, have a good day.